Dear friends, welcome to the next session for software engineering and designing concepts. So in today's session, we will be discussing about some of the other estimation techniques which are used for project estimation. So let us begin. In the previous session, we discussed about several shortcomings of the lines of code metric. So which included the programming style as well as the logic involved and the considerations that the LOCs used to make. However, we will not discuss here about the shortcomings of LOC, but we will discuss a few things which will be trying to or used to overcome the disadvantage of the lines of code metric. So today we will discuss about the function point metric. So in short, we can represent it as FP, and it was proposed by Albrecht in early 80s. So in this function point metric, we shall be considering few other parameters which will be used to calculate the cost or the size of the entire project apart from the lines of code metric or the parameter. So whenever we are estimating the size or the cost of the entire project, we will be considering LOC plus the function point metric. So function point metrics will be considering 5 other different parameters related to a particular program. It includes inputs, outputs, inquiries, files, and interfaces. So talking about these parameters, this will be multiplied or augmented using this integer values or using this numbers which is a part of the formula. So basically function point metric can be represented into 4 into number of inputs plus 5 into number of outputs plus 4 into inquiries plus 10 into files plus 10 into interfaces. So this is the exact formula which is used to represent the function point metric, and it considers 5 different parameters. So let us now look at each of these parameters. Talking about the first one, which is input, it is a set of related inputs and it is counted as one input. So this input could be the various fields of a form or the various numbers which is given as input to a particular application. The next we have output, and output also is a set of related outputs and it is counted as one output. So similar to inputs, here output also will be generating some textual values or some of the numbers that are used that will be represented or delivered by the program. The next is the inquiry. So each user query type is counted. It might be any type of search keywords or it might be any type of questions that the user would be typing in order to get his services. The fourth is the files. So files are logically related data and thus can be data structures or physical files as well. So how many different types of files we are using in that particular project will entirely depend upon what is the content or what is the related, logically related element of that particular project. The next one is the interface. So interface is data transfer to other systems or the various boundaries from where module 1 control can be transferred to module 2. So these are the interfaces. So these along with the input will be the 5 different parameters in your function point metric concept, And we always have to remember that in order to estimate the size, we have to include LOC plus this function point metric. Talking about function point metric, it has a major drawback. That is, the drawback is the size of the function is considered to be independent of its complexity. So although we are considering 5 different parameters or 5 functions related to this particular concept, however, they are not very simple to implement. So they come with a lot of complexity within itself, and that is the drawback of considering function point metric, because we will not consider the complexity of implementing those functions at all. Hence, we have to look for other alternative, or we have to look for certain techniques and measures so that this function point metric could be implemented easily. For that means the complexity in implementing these algorithms, or let's say functions, should be considered. So for that, we have another concept which is known as the feature point metric. So feature point metric will consider another extra parameter which is known as algorithmic complexity or algorithm complexity. So now your size becomes lines of code converted to kilo lines of code plus the function point metric as well as the feature point metric. And this feature point metric will strictly be considering the algorithmic complexity or implementation complexity of the 5 parameters which takes care of your function point metrics. So ultimately the size will be depending on all these parameters for a practical and realistic project. Now we will talk about the empirical size estimation techniques. So as we talked about in our previous session, there are 3 different techniques. One is the empirical size estimation techniques, the other is the analytical size estimation technique, as well as third one was the heuristic size estimation techniques. So here we will start off with the first and the basic one, which is the empirical size estimation technique. So size estimation can be done using various ways. The first one was empirical size estimation, and in empirical techniques, generally an educated guess based on experience is considered for implementation of the project plan. In empirical estimation techniques, we have 2 major techniques or 2 major categories of techniques. The first one being the expert judgment, where an euphemism for guess is made by an expert and it suffers from individual biasness. So generally in expert judgment, there is an expert involved in order to implement or in order to plan it, and he does it based on his educated guess that he gets from an experience or a real-time implementation experience. So this educated guess is generally 80 to 90% correct because it is dependent upon experience. However, sometimes it happens that since it is done by an expert and it does not follow any methodology, it definitely suffers from individual biasness. When we are talking about individual biasness, it might be so that at that particular point of time, the expert might not be in a proper mental condition, or he might be influenced by some of his friends who are working for that particular job or that particular project, etc. So the disadvantage of expert judgment is individual biasness will come into action. The next point is, or the next estimation technique is Delphi estimation. Delphi estimation. So this overcomes some of the problems of expert judgment, and we will talk about this Delphi estimation in detail. So here in Delphi estimation, we will have a team of experts and a coordinator. So initially in our expert judgment, we had an expert related to it. Now this expert, so before we go into Delphi, let us talk some more about expert judgment. So this expert will divide the software product into some component units. So this is based on his experience and his understandability about the project. For example, which is the user interface, what is the database module, what is the data communication module, what is the billing module, etc. So after having so many modules and so many expert or so many guesses about each of the modules, these guesses will be added up in order to give you the final guess or final planning process. However, this is not always correct, as already discussed, that it goes for a toss whenever the biasness comes into picture. Now talking about Delphi estimation, as already discussed, it will try to overcome some of the problems of expert or the major drawback of the expert judgment technique. And here a team of experts and a coordinator is involved. So it maintains a hierarchical position where there is a coordinator and a team of experts involved for each and every project planning activity. So experts carry out their estimations independently. Experts will be carrying out their estimations. So estimations would be done by this expert based on expert technique, that is his guess. And they will report back to the coordinator. So coordinator will note down any of the extraordinary rationale which circulates among the experts. That means after each of the expert has given their views on the project, they will be reported back to the coordinator, and the coordinator will make a note of certain things related to the project. That means maybe the similar points, whatever all the experts have said, some of them will be similar. So similar things will be noted down, and again the coordinator will send the reports to the experts. Now when it is sending the reports to the experts, E2's report will be sent to E1, E1's report will be sent to E3, E3's report will be sent to E4, and E4's report will be sent to E2. So likewise it will be circulating among the experts until the note which comes back to the coordinator has all similar points noted down, and they are common from each of the experts' feedback. So it is a very practical approach of developing something. It is something like a brainstorming session, like each of the persons in a group or each of the individuals in a group are given the same project to evaluate, and they will give their views on it. However, the views will not be made public, and it will go to the coordinator. Once the coordinator receives the views will be interchanged by the coordinator and sent for re-evaluation to the respective experts, and they will again re-evaluate the previous evaluation done by their friends or done by the other experts, and then send a report back again. So the coordinator will go on repeating this process until and unless they come to a common conclusion. So re-estimation is basically done in order to get to a common conclusion. Now the interesting part is experts never meet each other to discuss their viewpoints. They will simply be having a connection with the coordinator, and both of them or both the reports of each other would be evaluated by each other. So that is the catching point. The next estimation technique we will talk about is the heuristic estimation technique. And here we have two different models, the single variable model and the multivariable model. So in single variable model, the parameter to be estimated is basically a single parameter, and it will have an estimated characteristic where it is augmented by two different constants, that is C1 and D1. So this is just a formula for single variable model where each of the parameters is estimated using just one characteristic. However, in multivariable model, we assume that the parameter to be estimated depends on more than one characteristic, and hence we will be using multiple characteristics augmented by the constants again. Now, generally this multivariable model is more accurate than a single variable model because a characteristic does not depend on just one constant or just one characteristic or just one parameter. It has several, the parameters have several characteristics associated to it. So in order to meet that requirement, we have to use a multivariable model. Now we have to understand that this heuristic estimation technique is strictly mathematical and it follows a proper method for implementation. Talking about the heuristic model, so we will talk about first one, which is known as the COCOMO model. And this COCOMO model stands for Constructive Cost Model, and it was proposed by Barry Boehm. This COCOMO model is responsible for dividing the software product development into three categories. We call them as organic, semi-detached and embedded. Now organic is for very simple projects and for those projects where the developers are very new or naive. Semi-detached are slightly more complex than simple projects, and it will have a semi-experienced team of developers. However, embedded projects are strictly complicated and complex project, and it has expert developers, and generally they are having hardware components built as well. So we have to first identify what is the team of developers that we have and whether our project is simple or complex. Talking about COCOMO product class, so we can consider COCOMO model and convert the product or project into different types of programs. For example, we have application programs, utility programs or system programs. So these application programs are basically data processing and scientific programs and are considered to be application programs. For example, MS Office. So they are applications. Skype is an application. So all those application based programs or all the applications or data processing programs basically fall into the first category. The second is the utility program, and they are basically providing services to the operating system like compilers, linkers, editors, etc. And the third one is the system program, where we have operating systems and real-time system programs. So these COCOMO product classes are extremely important from the perspective of implementation of several programs. Now, if we are talking about elaboration of these product classes, as already mentioned, we have organic, semi-detached and embedded type of projects. So, when we are talking about these organic projects, they are relatively small groups and they work to develop well understood applications. And next is semi-detached, where the project team consists of a mixture of experienced and unexperienced staff and will have a generally a complicated way of representation. The third one is the embedded, and the software is strongly coupled to complex hardware or real-time systems. This embedded software has a group of experienced team members for implementation. So talking about COCOMO model, for each of the three product categories from size estimation, which is lines of code, Barry Boehm provides equations to predict project duration in months and effort in programmers months. So this has a unit which is known as programmer per month and project duration in months, which is the duration of the completion of the project. So Boehm obtained these equations by examining historical data collected from a large number of actual projects. So COCOMO model basically is a mathematical model and it involves some intense equations and combinations in order to derive the duration and effort. So now we will talk about how to implement this COCOMO model. COCOMO model is implemented using three parameters: the basic COCOMO, the intermediate COCOMO, and the complete COCOMO. So whatever be the scenario, generally we use the first two, which is the basic COCOMO and intermediate COCOMO, because those are sufficient in order to implement the cost. However, complete COCOMO is also implemented by various project development teams in order to derive at a more accurate cost estimation. But the necessary and sufficient condition implies basic and intermediate COCOMO models. So talking about basic COCOMO model, we have two different equations and it only gives an approximate estimation where effort is represented by A1 into KLOC into A2 and development time by B1 into effort, which is calculated from this equation, into B2. So A1, A2 and B1, B2 are the constants for different categories of software products. Dev is the estimated time to develop the software in months, and effort estimation is obtained in terms of person months. So through effort, we will actually have an idea of how many people would be working into it, and through this we have a unit which is the months. So whenever we are doing something, we have to remember that we should not forget to write the units, respective units of each of these equations. Now talking about development effort estimation, so we have different constants for different type of projects that we will be dealing. So making a tabular form, if we are making it as a tabular form where there are three different parameters. So for organic, we have A1 and A2. For semi-detached and for embedded, a separate column will be created or separate section will be created. So A1 has 2.4 and A2 is 1.05. Again, this is 3.0 and 1.12, 3.6 and 1.20. So they are the values of A1 and A2. And kilolines of code will be the lines of code converted into kilolines of code. So this we have to understand that this table is extremely important, as we need to remember this table throughout in order to solve any of the effort estimation, development effort estimation problems. So talking about development time estimation, so we have again different constants and different equation for it. For TDEV is equal to 2.5 into effort, which is calculated, which is calculated from the previous algorithm or previous section, and after that we have to multiply it with the B2. So if we are considering this equations or this constants, we will arrive at different values of B1 and B2. So in a combined form, if we have to represent this, so all of them will be can be represented here, where we are looking at B1 and B2, and B1 is common for all, which is 2.5 each, and B2 has a different value, which is 0.38, 0.35 and 0.32. So all these values A1, A2 and B1, B2 are different for different types of projects that we will be dealing. So once we have a problem in hand, we have to understand whether that problem is organic, semi-detached or embedded. So if it is simple, it is organic. If it is little complex, it is semi-detached. And if it is more complicated, we can consider is embedded or hardware based. So we have an example for this. The size of an organic software product has been estimated to be 32,000 lines of code. So we have to identify what is the development effort and what is the development time. So 32,000 lines of code is converted into 32 KLOC, and since it is an organic software, we will be using the values 2.4 and 1.05 as per the table which was there. So 2.4 and 1.05, and we will be using 2.5 and 0.38 after calculation of the effort. So when we look into this, 2.4 and 1.05 and 32 is the lines of code, and that is equivalent to 91% month. And then we have nominal development time as 2.5 into 91 into 0.38, which is 14 months. So these two are the development effort and development time respectively. So this example is just a simple representation of how you can use different mathematical models or formulas from heuristic based techniques in order to solve the problems. So that is all for today. Thank you.